Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Badge Boot Camp from Design to Delivery. Ali Sharp is going to be presenting for us. She is an instructional designer and director of faculty development at Langston University, and she's also the co-chair of the Cole Accessibility Committee. I have heard Allie speak several times. She's really great at breaking things down in an easy to understand way. And if you want to hear more of her doing that, she has a podcast about faculty professional development called LU Monday Moment that you can access on Spotify or wherever you stream podcasts. And today you're going to learn a lot about badging and understanding how to issue badge for Credly and all sorts of things. I already learned something new today from Allie just from setting up with her. So I'm sure that you'll learn a lot of great things. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started, Allie.
Thank you so much. And what a lovely introduction. I could not ask for a better partner in crime. So thank you. And for those of you in the lobby, just jump in. We are going to have a great time with badges. Um, and so my name is Allie Sharp, and I'm from Langston University. And you can see that proud Langston lion right there in front. That is right outside my office. So I like to, because I am so committed to accessibility, here's just a little pro tip for everyone. If you're using images that are meaningful, it's really nice to explain to people why they're meaningful. So if you're not familiar with Langston University, that lion is our logo. The three lion main stripes are for our different campuses. So the lions you see are the lions that we are so proud of. I have captions going that are through PowerPoint, but you can turn on closed captions in Zoom. So if you are not sure how to turn them on your screen, you should probably, it may be under that more button, but you should be able to see how to turn on closed captions. It may say live transcript, or if you are on a phone, it will just have a little CC button. And I like to share this with people because it's good to know how to do it. I know that I do have the PowerPoint captions at the top, and if those are starting to block you and get annoying, do please tell us, probably tell Safra, because I'll be watching the screen more than the chat, but tell us and I'll turn off mine. Side note, one advantage of doing this is that if people are more comfortable in one language aside from English, then they can have their Zoom captions be in their language, and my Zoom captions will stay in English. So if you're like, you know what, I've really wanted to learn German, turn your Zoom captions to German. All right, so here we go. About me, I am an instructional designer. I'm also the director of faculty development. I used to teach K-12. I taught in Stillwater. I taught a couple places, but Stillwater is where I did most of my teaching. And I was an adjunct instructor at NOC, and I was an adjunct instructor in a couple places. I'm a former community and business tech trainer. So I did that primarily through Meridian Technology in Stillwater, but also at some of the other career tech locations. So I worked in businesses, and I helped community, like teaching seniors at the library how to use computers. And I am also part of the OSU Writing Project. So you might, if I seem familiar to you, I very well could have been in your school or life as a trainer. I am the co-chair of the Accessibility Committee. And if you're here because you are a member of OCO or Cole and you're like, you know what, I would like to be part of that committee, join. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I don't know anything about accessibility, nobody knows everything. Just come join, see what you learn. You probably know more than you think. And even if you don't, it's a great place to learn. My email address is sharpa@langston.edu. I laugh because sometimes the auto spelling will change my names to Sharpe like a Sherpa. So anyhow, I just saw that flash up. So it's sharpa@langston.edu, and my name is Allie Sharp. So today we're going to talk about badges. And the big idea behind badging is that badges will recognize what people are doing. It validates it both in a literal sense of, yes, this experience happened, but it validates it for people like this is important enough that we are marking it and we're giving it a way to share it. Badges communicate what people have achieved, what people have been working on in terms of skill building, and in the knowledge that they share. So when we're talking about badges, that is how I use them for validation, communication, and to acknowledge achievements, skills, and knowledge. And on this screen, you will see a little picture of some of the badges that we've used at Langston University. I used the little goal icon, the little target icon, because it is one of my grant goals has been to validate what we do and the skills and achievements and knowledge that come through work at faculty development at Langston. So all of the badges that I show you are part of that process of validation, recognition, and communication. So I originally got Credly badges for faculty development. I tried many ways. There is quite a failure resume for me on how I tried many different ways of badging. Credly is what worked for me best because of how I use it. So Canvas has a badger platform. And for some people, that may be exactly what you need. So the reason I used Credly is really specific to faculty development. When I tried using Badgers for faculty development, it didn't fit my needs. However, Badger was better suited for some of the classroom, online classroom work. So how I use badges at LU, I use them for presenter documentation and recognition. I use them to show that we attend, to recognize and document that people attend optional and workshops and events. That's been a key piece that I have learned through Credly, is that Credly, okay, on some level, I am like a human pinata. And if you shake me, I will give you things, knowledge, badges, whatever. Credly does not want pinata badging. They want it to be for doing something and accomplishing something. So if somebody's going to a workshop because it's required for their job, that doesn't quite fit the idea of a badge. So I give them for attending optional workshops and events. People who participate on the podcast get a badge, and that's been a real, that was really one of the first badges that I've given. I use them for faculty development award recognition. That was quite a tricky badge to make with the gold, but it was like, I want it to be special. I use it for faculty engagement. So one of the optional workshops that we do are called our fellowship badges. This was a badge from the summer faculty fellowship. I changed the fellowship badges based on the experience and the vibe at the time, because they're sort of like unconferences. So that was our summer fellowship. So I give badges to people who attend that. And really, it's the accomplishment that I'm recognizing is engaging with each other, you know, coming off mute, saying hi, participating. And then also for service on committees that are related to faculty development. So we have a lot of committees on campus. The badges that I give for committee service so far have been the committees that impact faculty development. So my way of using these badges is for Title III reports, because I'm able to pull that data. And we just had an evaluation review. So when I pull the badge data, I'm able to say these people received this badge on this date for this occasion. It also shows things like whether they accepted it or not, but in terms of documentation, it's such an easy, solid tool to be able to say who participated, what day, and what event. It's a way of recognizing participation and accomplishments that's meaningful to the people who've received them. It's shareable on LinkedIn. So if somebody wants to showcase a specific side of themselves, like, hey, I was on the podcast, I presented, they can share that on LinkedIn. Credly does connect to our LMS, which at Langston is Canvas, but it doesn't have to be. So that's one of the reasons I really liked it. At the time, I think Canvas has opened up a little bit more with Badger, but at the time, the Badger version that we would have used wasn't as easy for me to give badges to people who come on the podcast and share something meaningful to Langston faculty. Like when we had information about Clara Looper, one of Langston's favorite daughters, for her birthday, we had that podcast, but that was not somebody with an LU email address in our LMS. And LinkedIn works and Credly works perfectly for that. People can share it on LinkedIn, and then the link on LinkedIn goes directly back to LU. It is excellent documentation for the faculty to have for performance reviews. They're not dependent on me to keep their records. If they want to have records of what they've done, they can go to Credly, they can download it, or they can email it. So they don't have to come to me and say like, hey, what did I attend? The answer is look at your Credly account because it has it all. So even after somebody leaves LU, or even is just like on vacation or at the dentist or something, everyone's able to access their information through their Credly account. It is paperless, it is emailless, although it could be emailed and it could be papered. So there's so many things, so many benefits to it. And so that's how it started. It started with me needing Title III reports, me needing to be able to recognize people, and me needing to, and professors wanting to have easy documentation for performance reviews. So when it comes to the badges, sharing the individual badges is very important. This is my Credly badge screen. So you can see I have some Langston badges, but I also have the Cole badges, and I have some badges from Adobe and some other things that I've done. So the day I took this screenshot, I had just gotten the presenter icon for, I believe, the podcast presentation or the accessibility presentation. So, so when a badge comes, it comes in the email, and then you get to choose. If you've never used it before, it comes in the email, and then you get to choose to accept it. So here's what that process looks like. When I get it in my email, I choose if I want to share it, and I can choose if I want to print it as a certificate. So it has multiple benefits. Like right here on the screen, I've accepted it, and it's giving me the choice. Do I want to share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, which I don't have to do any of it. But for people who want to share things on LinkedIn, that is a great way. The badge itself says who it is, what it's for, and who it's from. And then it has a hyperlink, which is great for our university and for whatever organization. In this case, it's the Regents with Oakland, to be able to go back, and it can be validated like, yes, this is real. In terms of sharing the badges, they can be emailed. So this is from my view. So when I've given a badge to someone, they can email it, they can give a link or embed it, they can download it as an image, or they can download it as a certificate. And so that's a really important piece, because some people do want to have that certificate look to create a specific portfolio. That was one of the things I truly liked about Credly when I was researching it. So to promote it, we put it in on LinkedIn, and then it can also be downloaded. And I think those are options that can be turned off. So here are the numbers. We are fortunate that the Regents negotiated Credly pricing, and Brad Griffin is the person, our vice chancellor, who helped me figure out that pricing. So I'm not sure if he's still doing it, because he has moved positions since then. So it might be Tracy, but the Regents has specific negotiations with Credly pricing, and it was a huge discount, like a lot. And so and it's designed for the micro credentials for students. And so I was very upfront with the Regents and with Credly, and I said, I'm not going to be using it for students. It's not for micro credentials. It is for faculty development. And I was very, very clear with that. And so Credly honored the pricing that the Regents negotiated. So for me, it was $1,000 to set up initially. And then it's $600 for 500 people. And so I've renewed it, and every time I renew it, it renews at $600. So that's really very flexible within my budget for faculty development. Not my budget, the university's budget, you know what I mean? I don't pay for it myself. It's paid for through my faculty development funding. The university signed the contract. It was a very long process because it had to go through the different pricing. But the university signed the contract, and then Credly was so great about helping me set things up. I mean, I will say, like, because I've been part of Canvas setup and lots of different software setups, Credly was absolutely so great about it. In terms of getting started with Credly, you're seeing a picture of the modules that they have, the self-paced modules. And that if you use Credly for whatever reason, micro-credentialing students, whatever, use that Credly training. That is one of those target goals that I set for myself. So I have that goal icon because it does take a little bit of time. Like, they're short, but it is something that in order to use it, to use Credly well, you need to know how to edit the badges and how to use them. So they have quite a bit of training. And you have to spend time learning on this. Credly expects you to do the practice exercises and do the samples, and it seemed like they didn't release some of the power. There were some like buffers in there to keep me from putting badges on until they had seen that I had done some of that learning, because they do want to keep the integrity of it. So from that, I learned how to make sure that I have good, clean badge data that is consistent. And it helped me avoid errors such as how to edit a badge after it goes live, because things like that happen where it's like, oh my gosh, I copied a badge from one presentation and I forgot to change the link or whatever. That is so that's why I said on this one, you need to know how to edit live badges. You do need to figure out, like, if I've issued a badge and I need to make changes, what do I do? And that Credly has a really simple process for that. I don't know that was a problem with some of the other badges that I looked at, because I didn't want to have to. I wanted to be able to like fix typos and stuff without having to withdraw a badge and reissue it. So here it is, making 3 different badges. One way that I do it is with Adobe Express. And when I started doing it, it was before AI was so common. It was before ChatGPT and DALL-E could just issue things. So I use Adobe Express is an excellent tool. There is a free version. So that badge, this badge with the graduation cap, is in fact, I'm turning on the Zoom tool so I can highlight that for you. The badge that has this one is indeed made with Adobe Express. So this is what the typical thing would look like, that it has design elements and it has images. I frequently use PowerPoint. I love PowerPoint. I was a Microsoft Office trainer for Meridian, and it's something that I really love doing. I am a Microsoft Innovative Educator, and a Google certified educator, but PowerPoint does very well. So it's much better for simplistic badges, and it's super fast. So if you're like, I just want something to slap in my LMS, use PowerPoint. Very easy. I've got to stop with the stickers. We have this one in advance, I guess. Adobe Firefly and Express makes the more complicated badges. So these are 3 different views. These are 3 different views of the same concept. Adobe Express, you can see there's shadowing. There is some elegance to it. It's a simple design, but there is there's a process there. PowerPoint, flat, easy, simple. Adobe Firefly is their AI. And combining Firefly and Express gives you a much more complicated, nuanced design. So we have the paid version of Adobe. But if you have the free version, if your school doesn't pay for you to have Adobe Creative Cloud, no worries, because you can make the badges for free with Express. So when I come into Adobe Express, I choose Instagram as my platform because it's square. And then when I searched for the templates, I just said round badge and I choose one. And then I'm like, okay, this looks like a badge I might want, right? And then I just keep what I want and get rid of what I don't. So goodbye, cute penguins, cute as they are. And then I found a graduation cap image and I dragged that one on over there. Because we have the paid version, that's what the little icon is that's like special, but this is one of the free versions. So I put that in there. And then I just had to change the background and change the badge itself so that it matched the image. And you can see that Adobe has recommended colors to make things work. And I changed the text around. So if your school, like our school is orange and blue, you could change these colors with the fill. So you're seeing this in real, like I recorded this, but this is the actual length of time to create a badge using Adobe Express. And so that's one way. And then when I downloaded it as a transparent image, and it does have to be a specific size, which you learn in the Credly training. It has to be a perfect square so that Instagram size works well. You type in what the name is for and the requirements. You have to put a website so it can be validated. So for us, that's Langston, but I have a Canvas page that I use. And what people need to do in order to earn it. And then Credly wants it to have skills so that people can sort it. So this one, if this badge was for graduation volunteering or participation or faculty development or whatever it is, you have to put in at least 3 and it can come up with things. If this was a micro credential, it could have education standards, but that doesn't fit with what I do. And then when it comes to issuing it, we just issue it and type in the names. So Adobe Express, super easy, very professional looking. Badges with PowerPoint. Everyone has access to PowerPoint. Pretty much. If you don't, you could do similar in Google Slides. With PowerPoint, though, you set the page size to 7 by 7. That may be something new to people, that you can change the size of your PowerPoint show, but you go to the view and you go to your slide master and you just change the PowerPoint slide size. And the reason is that Credly has to have even images. And it's like, oh, I could just change the box. You got to have, just trust me, it needs to be square for this to work well. So then I make it blank and I just put in the shapes. So I put in a circle. In the properties of the pictures, I go in and I make them an even size. So in this, it's like 6 by 6 or 5 by 5. And then I just play with the PowerPoint shape tools. Like you can see, I changed the outline to blue and I changed the weight. Again, this was all in real time. And I know that I'm a little more comfortable with Microsoft than some people might be, but then I just go into the shapes or icons or pictures, put it in, and then you can see the lines centering it. So when they do the crosshatch, that means it's centered. And I changed the graphic color to be, now it's Langston blue and Langston orange. And I know those colors in my sleep, but you can also use the eyedropper to find them if you needed to. So here is my badge. And then I download that. Oh, I think I added an outline and I totally forgot that. I added an outline. And then when I download it, I load it back up, and it's the same thing where I put the information in that somebody would need to have for a badge. On this one, I'm showing that it's an experience. It is a basic level, and it took hours, not days or months, and that it was free. Nobody had to pay for the experience. It's not paying for the badge, but paying for the experience to get the badge. And then I put in the skills. And so I usually give very specific information for this example when I was filming it because I was doing it in live time and I wanted you to be able to see it. I didn't go that far. And then it can be issued. So we have that's yet another way. Then we have using Adobe AI, Firefly. This is with Firefly 2. They just released Firefly 3 this week, but it's very similar. So I typed in make a round badge with a graduation cap, orange and navy blue. And I had to sign in because, but there is a free version of it. So it came up with all of these. And I was like, okay, I kind of like that one, but it's a little too complex. I found ones that I liked. And then because it's AI, it has different iterations and different versions. So I found one that I could live with. And then when I opened it up, I then move over to Express to do the fine tuning to make it less complex because just of a design preference. So this is what it looks like. I've moved it into Express and I'm going to make some slight changes to balance it out. And I like showing this to people because so far AI is still not good about things like the number of fingers on a hand. Like it's if you have Adobe, it goes smoothly. But no matter what, even if you're using the free versions, Adobe Express fixes things so well. So I didn't like the sort of painted look, and I wanted to smooth it out so it didn't look like it was doing some Van Gogh stuff. Like I love Van Gogh, but I don't want two graduation tassels. It's not, so Adobe Express was able to fix that. And I didn't like this complexity because if somebody's looking at a badge on a small screen, it looks too busy. Like we need to design things for mobile devices as well as our computers. And sometimes I forget that. Sometimes we all forget that. Like, yeah, I'm designing on a computer, but people look at it on their phones. And if you are doing this with students, they're looking at it on a cracked phone. So you want to make it simple, but still convey the idea. So this started in AI. For me, it was Adobe Firefly, but it could be in ChatGPT. And I duplicate the badge because I've, made all that detail. So this is what I do when I'm presenting it. And instead I upload a new image. It has all the information I had before, and then I can publish it. So that's 3 ways to make badges. Adobe Express, it's easy-ish, but they have great tutorials, like fast tutorials, like 1-minute tutorials. And it's very fast once you learn it. Once you learn Adobe Express, you have learned it. So it's one of those things that when I say that the tutorials are great, when I'm sitting on hold, I will do Adobe Express tutorials because they're so easy and they're so short. PowerPoint is very easy if you have advanced PowerPoint skills of working with slides, sizes, and working with graphics. If you don't have advanced PowerPoint skills, you can come to any of my PowerPoint or Adobe trainings. I do them for Langston. Everybody's always welcome to come. You can follow me on LinkedIn and I share when I'm doing stuff that people can come to. I will say this as a Microsoft trainer, if you don't have advanced PowerPoint skills, it's something you can really learn. Oklahoma is so lucky that we have Career Tech. When I was an instructor for Career Tech, I think the classes were about $25 for community members. So they might be 30 now because it's been 5 years. But if you don't have the skills with PowerPoint or anything in Microsoft Office, contact your Career Tech because they have training. And it's great for things like this. Like PowerPoint is such a flexible program. Then with Adobe Firefly and Express, it is magical. It is unpredictable, which makes it very time consuming because you have to understand how to do prompts. So if you're into AI and you're like, I want more reasons to use it, creating badges is a great way to learn it and a great way to use it. And that's how I've been using it because I want to know more about AI. I'm curious about it and I want to have reasons to use it. So for me, the badges with it has been really a great way for me to use it. But if I was somebody who didn't have a lot of time, I would not be using AI to make badges. I would be using either Adobe Express, especially if my school had that, or I would be using PowerPoint if I wanted something simple, replicable, and I didn't have a lot of time with design. So as I said, one of my big pieces was the actual sharing it and how people can use it to share their successes and also for documentation. So the issuing piece was very, very important to me because if it's an automatic thing like in an LMS for students, it's like, well, if they want it, the data's there in the LMS. But I didn't want that. I wanted it to be issued to anybody outside the LMS or in the LMS. And I wanted to be able to keep very careful records. So Credly met those needs better than any other company. In terms of issuing it, I can do it on the website. So if it's one at a time, I can do it that way. Like one person's on the podcast, that's one batch. However, 12 people present or 20 people attend a training, I don't want to do it one by one. So Credly has a spreadsheet to put all the badge information in. It auto uploads it and it issues those automatically. So that to me was a big advantage of Credly, is that I could do it manually for anyone, or I can use their spreadsheet if I have to do things in bulk. So when I'm issuing it, it also connects to Canvas LMS. It connects to all LMSs, I think, but it connects to Canvas. So that I had to work with our LMS coordinator on because it's like an LTI. But when it's in Canvas, I choose which one it is. I set up the rules, like which module has to be completed. So this one is just, this is just a sample. And then when students finish it, they get that. So the graduation volunteer badge would not come normally from a Canvas module. It's just that I was trying to think of a way to show you how I would connect it. So it can be issued for self-paced activities or for meeting certain credentials within the LMS. I like to learn things in stages, so I'm so far the things I've learned is how to design them, issue them. And now my next phase of learning is really starting to apply these in online classes. I've put them into one online training for faculty, and I didn't even realize that it was live because people were working through. I mean, I knew the class was live, but that they were getting the badges. And so it works very smoothly because like seconds after I put it in, somebody unbeknownst to me was working in the class at the same time, and I got the notification that they'd gotten a badge. For the Title III reports that I do, I needed to have reports. So Credly reports generate to Excel or CSV. If you're not comfortable with Excel and you need to be doing reports, again, that's something well worth getting the training on. And I say this as somebody who does a lot of Microsoft training and has attended a lot of Microsoft training in classes and in professional, and I've taken them from Microsoft. There is no one like our state's career tech for learning Excel. Like they teach it so well. So I did training when I worked there. I did training for accountants, and they were like, I have learned more from career tech than from school on how to use Excel. So you do need to know how to use Excel if you want to use these reports well, because they give so much data and you have to be able to filter it out. I do pivot tables, but at the very least, if you are doing Credly reports with Excel, you need to know how to filter, how to sort, how to delete or hide columns. The Credly reports are used to indicate engagement. We have trainings, people show up. We have the podcast, people show up. We have institutes, people present. It documents our history. So when the day comes that I retire, my Credly reports will be there. When Title III or the government, when the Department of Ed asks for proof, I have proof. This person came. it even shows, as you can see on this, if somebody that people were notified of it and if they accepted it or not. So it shows the date that I issued it, the date they accepted it. So not everyone has accepted this badge from this date. It shows how many times Credly notified them, and it showed if they clicked on it or delivered it or opened it or whatever. So there is documentation that not only did they receive a badge, but that they were informed that they had a badge, which is an important piece. Like, did you tell people that they had something? Credly does. And then it also, within their reports, individuals have a transcript so they can create their own report of their badges. So I can make badges of all the badges I've given. Individuals can create a report of whatever badges they've earned from anyone. Credly tracks the who, what, and when. So whatever I'm giving them for, whether they're getting them for presenting or workshops or the podcast or faculty development awards or participating in our fellowship engagement or community service, Credly has tracked all of that. And then I just get to share the data, and so do the people who earn them. So in terms of your implementation, again, our theme at Langston is the lions. So there's that little paw print. When you're getting ready, the question I ask myself is, how many people do I anticipate will meet these badges? Like, how many people will meet the requirements? If you don't have enough people who will be meeting requirements to earn badges, Credly may not be the best choice. If it's just like a participation check mark, Credly is not the best choice. There needs to be requirements to earn the badge. And the requirement may be showing up and doing something, or it may be attending and learning, but you need to have requirements, not just like, oh, here's a list of names. So ready, set, 2 more little paw prints. You need to attend the Credly trainings, which are online. They do have them live, but I always do the self-paced ones. And you do need to learn badge design on some level. They do not create the badges for you. Badger does have badging templates. I guess you could use them with Credly, but Credly has to be 600 by 600 or 800 by 800. So you do have to learn badge design, and PowerPoint and Adobe Express are excellent tools that are free that you can use. It is important to remember people will share these professionally. So my awards ones, my podcast ones, the ones that I do for the actual trainings are very professional looking. The ones that are more for our fellowship are meeting that vibe because they're for the people that attended it, and that has a personal meaning for them. So they're still professional in that they say what it was and have the LU colors. But one thing to keep in mind when you're doing badge design is that people will share them professionally. Even after students graduate, they can share them professionally. So ready, set, and then roar. There's that proud Langston lion. So start small. First, you want to choose things to issue for individuals. The first ones I ever issued were for the podcast and for presenting. Then I worked up to the spreadsheet of like, okay, anybody who attends this thing will get a badge if they stay the whole time and if they participate, you know what I mean? Like, so start with on an individual level and then work up to the spreadsheet, because there is a lot of complicated data. And there in the background, you see some Langston students. So here's the takeaway. What I have learned after several years of badging is that people love badges. In fact, now we're at the point that people come up with reasons for me to give badges. Like, do we get a badge? You know, you should give badges if people turn on their Zoom cameras. And that's not something I could give a badge for with Credly, because it's like, that's not really an experience, but it's nice to know that people like the badges enough that they thought of that. So now, if you've got questions, I've got answers, maybe. So you've got questions, I've got answers. So are there any questions? or thoughts, or I can check the chat now.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
someone, yeah, was saying that love the design, very creative, love that.
You. Thank you very much. Does anybody have questions, or do you want me to show you any of that design stuff? Because now we have, um, I built in we built in quite a bit of time. Oh no, I'm not saying thank you yet. We're still in questions. We're still in the Q&A, but I feel like there needs to be QA question mark because I may not know the answers. But I might know the answers, so you should ask. Um,
I can ask a question.
yes, ma'am.
I have used Badger before, which is now in Canvas, and you
Yeah.
mentioned that, and you mentioned a little bit about some differences, but I'm curious, you know, if there was anything specific that you noticed that made you choose Credly over something like the Badger that's built into Canvas.
Yes, the primary thing was how different the primary thing for me was in the reporting that I needed to have for Title III, and that I wanted to be able to have the same, I wanted to be able to have people who were not in the Canvas and like LU people and not LU people be able to get the same badge from the same event. And I do think that Badger has improved that because the rep wrote to me and like after I'd already gotten the Credly thing going. But I did about 9 of their like Credly Badger workshops trying to make it work, and I really never could. Badger is good. Is I never could with the freer version of Badger. I would have to pay for it, and it was Credly with the Regents pricing. Credly was so much better priced, like $600 for 500, and I think it was. I mean that like it's scaled up like that, but $600 for 500 badges for 500 people. Like I can give like as many badges I want, but for 500 people was really good. And I think Badger was a lot more expensive. Have you been giving badges through Canvas?
I at my previous institution used the paid version of Badger before it was bought by Canvas.
Yeah.
And it worked well for, inside of courses especially.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I feel like when I was asking them about pricing for even the inside of courses, it was going to be about $2,000 or $3,000, and it didn't completely meet the needs. And then the Regents had that contract, and I was like, okay. Yeah, there's this idea that I've heard of. It's some professor that came up with it, of the failure resume, where you show all of your attempts for something before you were successful to show like tenacity and stuff. And the badging experience is definitely on my failure resume because I tried so many ways to get badges, like open source things and stuff like that, and so many ways to make badges using what should be a badging kind of software or whatever, but it has to meet certain credentials and it has to look professional. And a lot of existing badge tools are very geared toward like K-12, and it's not professional enough for what I was hoping for. So,
makes sense.
questions. But if people are doing badging, I would love to hear what you're doing. Um, so if oh, there's my takeaway. So thank you. Thank you for coming. I know it is optional, and I believe everyone gets. Do people get? I think people get badges for attending. You and I get badges for this, so thank you for coming. I hope you get a badge, and I know that I do. So if you want a badge from the Regents, present. Put in a present and help out. But I think that people do get badges. And again, my name is Allie Sharp, and I'm an instructional designer, and I'm the director of faculty development at Langston. I have a LinkedIn that we had a LinkedIn presentation at Langston, and people got badges for it. And so I'm trying to use LinkedIn more. My LinkedIn name is actually the same name as my website, which is a sharp because Ali Sharp. It's asharpcookie.com. And it's because when I was a community trainer, I loved teaching senior citizens. And some of the one of the senior citizens used to always say, "You're a sharp cookie." So that became my website, was asharpcookie.com. So that is also my LinkedIn because that is the time of my life when I was using LinkedIn, and my website that is now very out of date. So, but that's what we have, is that's my name, and you can follow me on LinkedIn. And I always thank you for hosting those in there. I always am happy to connect, and I do share things on there. And you are always happy to feel free to email me. Feel free to email me. Feel free to come to the stuff and see the badges. And so the badges, in my current goal, I'm going to switch my sharing over to my Credly screen. I've now started offering badges for people attending workshops. And this is what this is the other thing, is that Credly signs you out like all the time. So CTI is the department where I am an instructional designer. This is a logo I made for CTI in like 2017 or 18. But this is what I mean by like a professional simple badge. And so I have started issuing these for people attending trainings, and I put in the name and the date. And so when people come to our Langston University thing, they can see all of the badges. They can click on them and see what was required. And then the earning criteria, and these are the skills. So this was our tenure and promotion workshop. This is Adobe Express. You can kind of see that now. Now that you've seen my ways, you can probably guess which ones were Adobe Express and which ones were PowerPoint. And then here's the big AI experiment. So yeah. So thank you so much for coming. Look at that. That's committee work for being a helper. That's engagement. So thank you so much for coming. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to seeing the badges that you create, and please come to conferences or come to workshops I do, and I'll give you a badge if you participate, because we have to have criteria. All
Thank
right.
you so much, Ali. Does anyone
Thank
have any
you.
more questions or experiences you'd like to share? All right. Well, I guess we are done then. Have a great rest of your conference,
Thank you so
and
much.
hope to see everybody in the other sessions. All
All
right.
right. Thank you. And Sephora could not wish for a better partner in presenting. Look forward to our next ones. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye,
Yeah, me
everyone.
too. Bye.